broadcast network, Afterbuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. Afterbuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Afterbuzzers! Welcome back to another episode of HBO's Looking Season 2, Episode 9, Looking for Sanctuary. I'm Kylie Hodges, and look at my lovely house to the left.
Hi, I'm Blake McIver.
Hey everyone, I'm Kellie Knezovich.
And if you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes, and you can find us on SoundCloud. And if you're watching us live on YouTube right now, you can also chat in the chat roll. So this week's episode was, like we said before we started the show, very plot heavy, but I thought it was pretty good. What'd you guys think?
It's great. I loved it.
I felt that there were so many different loose ends being tied up.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
Yeah, I liked Patrick's mom as a character.
Love her.
She's
so great.
We can dive into dissecting her, but I just think she's hilarious, and it's funny the way you see a character around their family as opposed to their normal environment. And I know we've touched on this before, but like whenever I go home to my family, I feel like I act like somebody different. And so then when you introduce the significant other who you're around all the time in your family, it's a lot of dynamics mixing together.
Well, especially since he's 30 years old and this is the first guy he's ever taken home.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and on top of that, this guy has some ties to the family,
which I didn't know about until this episode.
Yeah, so in season 1, we go to Patrick's sister's wedding, Megan, and Kevin is surprisingly there, and I believe he was in the wedding too.
Kevin was in the wedding.
Yeah, and he is Gus, Megan's husband's best friend. So that is the connection.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was John.
I'm sorry.
Okay, but see, in season 1, I didn't make that connection. Like I didn't think Kevin. I don't know. I mean, maybe I probably just forgot about it. But I didn't even think. Oh, duh, that's right. The wedding. I remember he was in the wedding or he attended the wedding.
Yeah, he was there.
I just didn't remember that whole thing with John being the friend. John is the
one
connection.
of the groomsmen.
Yeah. So John, my fault. John was in the wedding, but Kevin was attending because at the time he was with John. So now there's a little history, and on top of that, this is a very fresh relationship. Even if they didn't have this much history together, I feel like it's pretty early to introduce them to your mom. But again, we don't have a perception of time on the show
this
either.
Whole time, I just don't get it. I don't know the perception of time. Like I have no perception of time. I don't know if it's been 2 weeks, 2 months, a day.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
And I know that some of you guys who've been commenting on the YouTube page are able to find tidbits that I've missed that are implying timing. And I was trying to find that quote earlier. Someone commented like, oh, well, they said this, which implies maybe like 2 weeks have gone by, but I couldn't find it. But if you guys are more aware of time, let us know. Well, let us know. Tweet at us too.
There was one hint in this episode because Patrick's mom was in town for her annual Christmas shopping trip. So we can assume that it's after Thanksgiving, maybe early December.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
It seemed, I mean, I guess San Francisco is always light jacket weather, but it seemed like it was getting cool.
It did.
It's forever fall in San Francisco. That must be why it's so great up there. So we start the episode, and Patrick is in this, like, fancy-looking, high-rise condo with windows everywhere. And they immediately, Kevin jumps in, and they say something dirty about, like, doing it against the windows. And then, oh, look, there's a real estate agent.
Who's that character actress that I love? She's in so many things.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's. I think she had a couple arcs on Desperate Housewives. And she's always that woman.
She was funny. She was
great.
feisty.
I know. I loved her. I love that she wasn't uncomfortable with that comment. She was just like, yeah, it's great. You know, all the neighbors
windows.
There you go. It's
can handle
perfect.
it.
Yeah.
That's a good saleswoman.
There you go.
Get it, girl. You sell that condo.
So at first, we don't really know if they're shopping together or if it's just Kevin or if it's just Patrick. And then she asks,
"Did you think they were shopping for the apartment together? Or the house together?"
I did. I
kind of felt like it.
Yeah. I assumed that Patrick was on board with. I'm assuming Kevin makes more money, man.
You think? Okay. Can we just talk for 1 second about he picks up that lease so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, can I sign today?
Too quickly.
Like, I'm like, we've all seen. Have you seen those lists of like how expensive it is in San Francisco right now? Like, good God, what is that apartment per month? It's over $3,500 at least.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, even checking out an apartment, I feel like you're gonna go, okay, we have another one to look at, and then we'll go here, and then we'll think about it, not just right away make the decision. Okay, I'll take it. I mean, that is something that you really genuinely think about. You think hard about.
I should have gotten into video games.
Yeah, right?
That's where the money is.
Imagine
if I had only opened that first Nintendo when I was 4.
Oh, imagine where our lives would be if we had video game money.
Right? I just had to play with those Disney princess dolls and not.
I'm right there with you.
So did we. Well, Kevin might have played with princess dolls and designed a game,
That's
so
true.
good for him.
Good for Kevin. We're proud of you.
He can multitask.
He sporadically rents this apartment, and even Patrick's a little surprised. Cut to Patrick and Kevin are outside, and they're talking about how they're going to meet up with his mom. And, Patrick seems a little nervous, naturally, and it's kind of cute. And he even says, like, you're the first guy I'm bringing home to my mom, so... I know I'm 30 years old, but this is happening. And Kevin is like, he's very easygoing about it. I feel like if I were Kevin, I would be nervous too, because he knows that the family knows about his infidelities. I'd be worried about judgment.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that I feel like when meeting anyone's family, it's always a little scary. But then meeting someone's family where they already look at you in a negative light.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, that's not...
That's rough.
He was so... Whatever, it's cool. No big deal. Like, I would have been freaking out.
Yeah.
So... props to him.
He played it cool. He seemed confident.
It's also that thing in his character that I think we're still hurtling towards a disaster, because I just feel like it's just that one component about Kevin that's always a little off. Like, maybe we're just a little too self-assured. Maybe we're just a little too cocky. Like I wanted to see like a glimmer of, not fear, but just like nerves, butterflies.
There's something a little too easy about him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little too comfy.
I will say, every episode, I am warming up to him more and more. However, I am still Team Richie. But I do think they are cute together. And it seems genuine.
The banter that they've written for them is really real, and it's really genuine, and it's fun, and it's natural. It feels like what a relationship at that stage would be.
I was going to say, I feel like they're very comfortable with one another in the relationship, and the fact that they're on, what store was that, the mattress store or whatever, and they were laying on the mattress, and Kevin was saying, or Patrick was saying something like, oh, well, I don't know how you feel because you didn't ask me to move in with you.
Right.
A conversation that is so real.
Yeah.
And, Kevin was like, well, I thought that you would think that it's a little too soon or a little too crazy. And they were like, well, no, we're both kind of on board for this. And
and then he asked him right then and there.
It's crazy.
See, to me,
I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's moving so fast, I feel, because I don't have a proper sense of time.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'd say they've got a solid, maybe 2 months under their belt at this point, maybe. But that's...
I know. That's
2 months?
I mean, they've been sleeping together for how long? Maybe close to half a year? Maybe?
6 months.
6 months, that's oof. That's a lesbian timeline, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to come out and say it as a proud member of the LGBT community.
I don't even really know what that means, but I love that.
There's a joke. There's a joke, and it's technically rude and stereotyping. So I apologize, everyone. But there is a sort of like a joke stereotype that lesbians rush into moving in together.
That I might be a lesbian because I have rushed back in the day.
Have you?
Yeah. The minute I start seeing a guy, my brain's like, when are we going to move in together? Is he going to introduce me to his parents? I can't wait to go to Christmas with him. You
just start thinking about those things.
Inside Kylie's head is crazy, girl.
This episode was stressful for me because my boyfriend, after a year and a half, we've just decided to start looking for an apartment together. So I was like, I was watching this episode getting all kinds of anxiety, and I was like, we were watching it together, and I was like, this is great. I'm so scared.
I want the next episode to just be Patrick and Kevin fighting over what color their throw pillows are going to be.
Yeah. I can imagine the toothbrushes is like, no, mine goes there. Something.
Or you're filthy. Just an argument about dirtiness.
A close up of the his and his sinks.
Yeah.
Can you tell the character by their sink?
Because Patrick would be I feel like Patrick would be the dirtier of the two, but that's just me. I feel like he would live a little dirtier than Kevin.
I think that's fair.
Because I feel like Kevin probably pays somebody to clean his apartment.
He can afford it, apparently.
How much do you make, Kevin?
Too much. He makes too much money off those video games, and I'm bitter.
Goodness.
I'm bitter about it.
Stupid Disney princesses.
I know. I'm blaming it all on Belle.
So, yeah, you gotta blame it on Disney. Gotta have a scapegoat, you know. So we cut after Patrick and Kevin, before they meet his mom. It cuts to Doris and Dom. Oh. And
heartbreak episode.
Whoa, Fight City. Doris, I mean, it's out of her control, but a relative, and I'm blanking on who, but a relative is contesting her dad's will.
Uncle something.
Okay.
The crazy, stupid uncle. Creepy uncle, whatever.
Stupid uncle is contesting the dad's will, and now Doris won't maybe even see the money ever, but if she will, it won't be for a few months. And Dom, which I had assumed, since Dom had been working on this restaurant, he already had the money.
I thought so too. I was shocked.
I feel like this is a very risky move of him to go, I'm assuming, rack up all his credit cards before he even has this money in hand and buy all this stuff. And now here he is. He's, in a lot of debt with this restaurant, and he just blows up.
He's blown up before, though, hasn't he?
But this was like a real personal fight between him and Doris.
I feel like when he gets really stressed out, though, he just kind of, he doesn't know how to handle his emotions, and he just kind of lashes out. He kind of goes to the extreme. But at the same time, you kind of understand that he and Doris have such a deep connection because they've been friends since forever.
So much history.
And when they do fight like that, that's kind of expected. It's not out of the ordinary that such close friends are fighting.
Yeah, this fight just felt
below the belt.
Yeah,
they just knew every button to push because they knew each other know each other so well. Yeah.
And it also seemed like it wasn't I mean, obviously the money is what set him off, but like I feel obviously we see it later in the episode, like the relationship with Malik is definitely an undertone to Dom's frustrations too, because he's been wanting her to help him with the restaurant and she hasn't been there, and so he's doing it all himself, and I think that he's not dealing with her relationship as well as he thinks he is.
Yeah. And she asked him straight up, are you jealous of Malik? Yeah. He's like, are you kidding me? No.
It's ridiculous. But the behavior would suggest otherwise.
Yeah.
I feel I'm going to take Doris's side on this. I mean, she didn't tell him to go spend this money he doesn't have yet.
Definitely.
And it's out of her control.
And I would agree with you on that, to the point of also, like, you don't sign a lease on a place that you don't have the money for yet.
Yeah,
like,
I'm kind of impressed that you got it.
Yeah, like, who did the credit check on that? When I know it's a window, but still, it's going to be expensive. Yeah. Street front property in San Francisco. That's crazy.
So
I'm really property obsessed tonight. I'm sorry. No, it's because I've been house hunting.
I'm with you.
I'm really worried. I'm just stressed.
It's a secret hobby of mine. No joke. I'm on Redfin. Like, oh, I saw this person's address. Let's see how much that house is worth. I'm nosy. So the scene ends. Doris says "fuck you" and she's out. It was a pretty.
It was rough.
One rough punch and she's out of there. Then Patrick and Kevin meet Patrick's mom, and she's kind of drunk. And
that amazing Hawaiian restaurant that my friends have talked about in San Francisco. I've never been there, but I've heard so much about
I didn't know it was a real thing.
Yeah. It's, you got to look up pictures of it online. I don't remember. Bad of me. I should have done the research.
If you guys are in San Francisco, go to that Hawaiian restaurant.
That cool Hawaiian restaurant with like the pool thing in the middle.
So she's had like one too many. I don't know what those are. Fruity things.
Pineapple Royales. I remember
Pineapple
that.
Royales.
Of course. She remembers the cocktail, not the name of the restaurant.
You're right. And his mom was really cute. I was telling you before we started the after show that I think she's funny because she's got that like very bougie attitude, and she almost talks like this like old Hollywood actress, like, darling Patrick, I'm your mother. That drawn out like kind of a drawl. And it's just funny how she warms up to Kevin very quickly.
Very quickly.
He wins her over in no time.
It was with that, what is it, Dana Banana?
Donna Banana.
Dana, what?
And he gets real blunt with her. He said, I think I'm the luckiest man in the world to be with your son. However, her response was funny. She says, well, it's always a bumpy ride, isn't it?
Bless.
Always the optimist, Mom.
Well, we find out why.
I was going to say.
We also find out why she warms up to Kevin so quickly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a shock at first. You're like, wow, you're warming up to Kevin so quickly. Clearly. What's the sister's name? What's her name?
Megan.
Megan. She's the new Brady.
She's the new Brady. I love it. I mean, we see how she feels about Kevin, but I mean, the fact that she warmed up so quickly, now we get why at the end of the episode.
People in glass houses.
She corners Patrick into going to the zoo. Kevin won't go with him, with good reason.
Amen.
Yeah. And so we're at the zoo, and it's Kevin, his mom, and Megan, who literally has a serious issue of something shoved up her butt, because she is like just dropping the nastiest comments left and right while Mom is throwing quinoa chips at the drafts.
Well, it's not an issue of Vogue, okay?
I love the mom.
That was my judgy comment.
That's fine. She's so... She was ridiculously mad. And that's what got to me. Mm-hmm. She's not friends with John. Her husband's friends with John. I could see justifying her anger if she was John's best friend. But she's not. She married into that friendship. And I don't think her husband is like screaming at her all night long about Patrick and being with Kevin.
Yeah. I would hope not.
I mean, if she is, then someone get her some help.
I would hope that the love life of his gay best friend isn't what he brings home.
Yeah,
true, yeah.
Night.
So, she was being really nasty,
but I think there's some underlying stuff there too. I think she's very jealous of Patrick because she thinks that he tends to get away with everything because he's gay. What were all those examples?
She said, I wrote it down. I am sick of Patrick getting a free pass because he's gay.
Yeah.
Well, and then my favorite line was that when the mom says, well, isn't it different with two men? And Patrick's just like, ugh. Like, just when I thought she was defending me, she says something so homophobic.
Mom.
She was trying to say something nice, but it just,
Bless your heart, Mom.
Bless your
heart. Well. Yeah, so Megan's got issues, and they don't really get over it. But before that happens, we cut to Eddie at the shelter with Augustine, and he's pissed. They were going to do like a charity mural thing, and the artist backed out. And I like how Augustine doesn't volunteer himself.
Do you think he realized, I could do this, and he deliberately didn't? Or do you think he's just like, oh, that's a bummer?
Yeah, because Eddie then asks, Eddie asks him to do it, and he's like, no art stuff, which... You're 100% over art? Okay. I thought he would want to do it, maybe.
I don't think you can just opt out of being an artist. I think once you're an artist, you can not do it, but you're always going to be an artist.
Mm-hmm. True.
And, but it's funny, Augustine just casually mentions to Eddie that he wants to start taking prep, which I thought was really interesting. They don't really dive too much into it, though. It's just slid in there.
We've had prep peppered in this season, which, again, I've said it before. I think it's it's a current issue. It's something that we're all talking about and dealing with, and but it rides that awesome line that I love about this show, where it's like, well, would you be taking prep? Would you be considering taking prep if your partner wasn't positive, or is this a precautionary measure because you want to open it up and see other people? It's that interesting gray area, which I love that this show just tackles.
Yeah.
And Eddie's reactions are just so, everything that Danny does is just it's so real, because you could just feel the tension. I love it.
Yeah.
Those two are always kind of dancing around each other. And then I guess we get some big resolution at the end, but because there was no definition between them for so long, these conversations are weird, and with good reason, because what are they?
And they don't last very long either. They're just kind of like one comment and then, all right, moving on.
Yeah.
It's not really anything like, oh, let's have a deep, serious conversation about this.
Yeah. If I was in that situation, I'd be like, what do you mean by that? Let's talk about this some more. Please, help me.
How did that make you feel when I said that?
Yeah. If my boyfriend were watching this, he'd be like, oh my God, they get Kylie now. So then they're at the coffee shop, and Eddie has asked Augustine to do the mural, and Augustine's trying to fight it by saying it's or doesn't he say it's offensive He's trying to argue that the mural's offensive, according to one girl, and then in walks Frank, the ex-boyfriend.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah, I was thinking about him a few weeks ago. Like, are we going to see him on this season, or is he donezo? And apparently not. And Frank is eyeing up Augustine. He seemed delightfully surprised how much Augustine has changed.
I think he was kind of taken aback by it. I think he was. I still don't really know how he felt. I feel like he was kind of like, oh wow, you've changed for the better, good for you, but also kind of like, let's see if it lasts type of thing. Like I don't really know if he's really 100% happy for Augustine and the fact that this is my friend Eddie. I'm his friend Eddie. That was also super awkward.
But so they fought about that. Eddie and Augustine fight about it later, and I would totally take Augustine's side in that situation because Eddie, and Augustine calls him out on it, Eddie would not let him define things, and he wouldn't let him say that they're boyfriends. So
it's true.
And
in that
what
situation
is he
with
meant
an
to
ex,
say?
like, what are you supposed to say? This is my F buddy? Like,
this is the guy that I work with, but I also sleep with, and I really want to date him, but I don't know if he wants to date me. Like, how do you, that's not fair.
With an ex-boyfriend. I mean, if you're going to, it's hard enough to say that to just any random person, like, oh, this is some guy I'm sleeping with, but now you're talking to your ex-boyfriend.
This is messy.
Who are you? To the ex, it's so awkward, so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I want to jump back just really quickly on one point, because I'm glad that you brought it up about how he does the whole thing about the mural is offensive.
Yeah.
Because it was the tolerance theme, and he didn't like that it was tolerance because it's trans kids in the shelter, and for them to just, there was a great line, and I'm going to misquote it, but he said something to the effect of, they should hope for more, they should be able to reach for more than to be tolerated.
Oh, yeah,
and I was like,
that's so true.
Here's a great nugget of truth, and something that we've dealt in the media in the past year and a half with a lot of transphobia and a lot of new trans stories being told, and the fact that to see it from the kid's perspective and be like, tolerance is not enough. It was a really great little gem in this moment where the scene was not gonna be about that, but I loved that.
This show, you guys, lots of good little nuggets. So then we're at the zoo, and this is just when the fight blows up. Megan says she's sick of Patrick getting passes for being gay. And then Mom drops a bomb and says, well, I thought you two were going to unite, but you might unite over this. I'm thinking about leaving your father. Not, I'm leaving your father. I'm thinking about it. Because she's been emotionally cheating with a doctor for the past year.
Do you think she wanted to see her kids' reactions and then determine if she's going to leave him based on that, or why I'm thinking of leaving as opposed to I am leaving?
That's kind of what I was thinking. I thought it was interesting that it was like she was testing the waters, maybe.
But that's not something to test.
I mean, either way, it's going to feel abrupt. So maybe better to ease them into it than be like, oh, your dad and I are separated, so it's it's not so blindsiding that, oh, all these things have happened behind our backs and we don't know. But that's my thought. I don't come from a family with divorced parents, so I don't have any personal experience to this, and I find it really interesting when it is dealt with on TV because, I mean, how do you handle it? There's no good way.
There is no good way. I mean, it's funny, this whole situation, it just sort of brilliantly reeked of, rich white people problems. I'm not as happy as I could be. I deserve to be happier than I am right now.
Yeah. She's searching for her truth.
It was a lot of post-yuppie, bougie BS.
Yeah.
But so in line with the character.
Yeah,
I don't fault the writing. I think that's great. I think showing that that struggle is real. It might be rich white struggle, but...
I mean, that's so Patrick's mom.
Yes.
And I love how she said, well, something has started between us, not physically yet.
Yet.
But emotionally. I was like, oh, Mom, stop. I just felt better.
Mom, no more.
Please don't.
No more. No details, Mom.
I honestly thought Megan was going to change her mind. And the way that she treated Patrick, I thought she would be like, okay, Mom, you're right. You do deserve to be happy. But she didn't.
No,
she was still pretty, not stubborn. What's the word I'm looking for? She's very...
nauseating? That's what I think.
Nauseating.
She says mommy and daddy still. I hate that. I don't know why.
Is she younger than Patrick or older?
I don't know.
I don't know if Whether she's
Does anybody know? Help us. I actually don't know.
Help us.
Regardless, she says mommy, and for some reason I want to be like, you're a grown woman, don't.
What is Daddy gonna do?
Oh, yeah, no.
I love the actress that plays her because you just buy that she's that girl.
Yeah.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
Being unlikable.
Yeah. So unlikable. Oh, I hate her character.
But credit to the performer.
Her off the screen. So then we switch back to Dom and Doris back at the apartment. Dom feels bad for the fight. He brings her froyo, and Doris is not having it.
Nope.
To the point
Not even a
where
bit.
she's packed up her shit and she's going to stay with Malik's. And she lets the cat out of the bag and says, I think you have an issue with me being with Malik, which we've all been talking about. Mm-hmm. And so she's out. And the one thing she says that I thought really, it was her last line out. She says, you're a codependent mess. An F word and his hag. Woof.
Yeah.
That hurts.
That was rough. That was like, oof.
That's a really mean way of saying some of the things we talked about before where, Dom doesn't want to grow up.
I think he needed to hear that, though.
He did.
And I think that if he's going to hear it from anyone, Doris is the best person.
Closest to him, yeah.
Maybe not those words.
Maybe not those words, and also maybe not at this stage, this time, because clearly he's freaking out about his chicken window because he doesn't have the money. Yeah. So he's not thinking clearly. He's trying to, okay, let's just patch things up right now, figure out how to get the money, figure out how to solve this issue. So he's not really listening, I don't think.
No.
But the fact that she has left to go stay with Malik, I think that's a big statement.
I feel bad for Dom. I feel like there's a lot of life happening to him all at once, and the one person he could help him through it is the one that he's having issues with. And I sure wish Lynn were there to help him through this. Lynn, where are you?
And for me, the line that hurt almost even worse than the last one was when she said, what are we doing? We're going to be 70 years old and sitting in this apartment together still talking about frozen yogurt. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this rate, though, yeah.
Oh, that's so true. And the thing is that there's nothing wrong with being 70 and having a roommate and having froyo together, but it sounds like neither of them want that, and they're sort of just sitting in this weird comfort zone together.
They're comfortable, absolutely.
And Doris is actually, allowing life to happen and pushing her comfort levels with Malik. And Dom, I guess he tried with Lynn, but he's still getting there. Just life in general, he's still piecing things together.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Poor Dom.
Poor
Doris.
Poor Doris. It's just a mess.
Everything's a mess.
We were coming to this conclusion, but I didn't expect it to be so violent.
I didn't either.
No. A lot of. It was a very dramatic episode.
It was. Yeah. It was.
Then we get Eddie confronts Augustine about calling him his friend. We went over that, and then boom, Eddie asked him to be his boyfriend.
I was shocked. I was shocked that Eddie was the one to say something.
Really?
Yeah, I definitely thought that Augustine was going to be the one to
push the issue.
Exactly. Like, why can't we? I wish I could have told Frank that we were boyfriends, and you didn't give me that opportunity. Now can we be boyfriends? I just thought that was going to be the case, but it wasn't. It was, I need something from you. I need you to ask me, and can you? Do you want to be my boyfriend?
I love it. Well, I thought I was expecting Eddie to do it just because he's I think more aggressive than Augustine, and also he definitely seemed peeved when he saw Frank at the coffee shop anyway. So I knew, I was like, there's going to be a discussion about this.
For sure.
Yep.
And it turned out good.
Yeah, it was like a happy surprise.
Yeah, boyfriends, yay.
I love it.
And then we're almost at the end of the episode. So then Patrick is with his mom before she leaves for the airport. He's taking her bags into the car, and he says, what are you going to do, Mom? And she's just like, I have no fucking idea. There's nothing funnier than, a prim and proper mom dropping the F-bomb.
F-bomb.
So, poor Mom. She's going to go back to her husband she's unhappy with in Colorado. And then...
No, she's not unhappy. She's not as happy as she feels she could be.
She's looking for her truth, you guys. You got to accept
look for your truth, honey. Look for your truth. We're all looking for our truth.
If anyone knows where my truth is, let me know.
I lost it.
I am very lost.
Looking for it.
25 without a truth. And she says to Patrick that she really hopes to see him and Kevin at Christmas, which is very sweet. Mm-hmm. And then Kevin goes to Patrick Patrick goes to Kevin and says, I want to live with you, and I want to have Christmas with you, not my family.
Yeah, just us two.
Boom! Credits.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Okay. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're very good at keeping their relationship to just them two. They don't go out and hang out with other couples. They don't go out and hang out with other people. They don't socialize much with others. They're very good at just kind of being homebodies.
Patrick is really good at avoiding his problems, it seems like, by not going to family Christmas. He's going to piss off quite a few people by not going.
Yeah.
Not his sister, though.
Well, but don't you think that she could twist that to like...
Oh, absolutely. There's no way he could win in this situation. Because if he didn't go, she would be pissed that he didn't go. If he did go,
she'd be pissed that he's there.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, of course, if he did the worst thing possible and brought Kevin, it would just... No.
It would throw down. So I thought it was a really great episode.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
We got one more.
I know.
That's it.
Can you believe
sad.
it? This season, though, has been just like the bomb.com. So much has happened.
So much.
And we don't even know if there's a season 3 yet, which is pretty stressful.
I know. I'm hoping.
So this means the season finale has to be something that can drop a bomb on us, but also give us some sort of conclusion in case there isn't a next season. So a lot to see.
Yep.
Before we go into predictions, we just might have a very special guest with us for the finale next week. So I highly encourage everyone to tune in and watch because you won't regret it. And on that note, let's go into predictions.
And now, your Afterbuzz TV predictions.
Kelly, what are your predictions for the finale?
Oh, gosh. Oh, there is so much. I think that we're going to see Kevin and Patrick sticking it out. I think they're going to rock it. I don't think they're going to break up, kind of how we had hoped that would happen. I don't know if we're going to see Richie. I don't know. And Scott Bakula. I don't know.
Hashtag where's Lynn?
Hashtag
Looking for Lynn.
Hashtag
Looking for Lynn.
I'm not sure.
What about you, Blake?
I predict a big Christmas disaster episode. I want a Christmas special of looking proportion. I'm hoping it'll just be. I'm hoping that all of the poop, shall we say, will hit the fan.
With Kevin and Patrick, or with everyone?
Kevin, Patrick,
Eddie,
Augustine, Dom, Lynn. We've got everybody's in.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an issue.
Big things are going on with everybody.
And so I think a Christmas special would be the only way.
Like they all try to come together, and then
or
it's just
something,
the
or just
worst
some
thing.
mess. I don't know. I think it could be really fun.
All right. I predict Doris is going to move out. Dom is going to find someone new to occupy his time, like a new BFF. Not necessarily someone to date, and not necessarily a girl, but just a new person. I think Augustine and Eddie are going to, move crazy fast, and Eddie will move in. And I think that I want Patrick and Kevin to get in a fight, and I want them to break up, and I want Richie to move in with Patrick. Now I'm being unrealistic.
And I
want them to get married.
I want them to hop on a unicorn and fly to wherever Sandy and Danny went at the end of Greece.
Yes.
The end.
You know what I do predict, though? I predict that we will see Brady and Richie, or we will see Richie and find out he broke up with Brady. That would.
Oh, yeah.
That Richie broke up with Brady?
Yeah.
That sounds plausible.
Okay.
I would like that very much.
Yeah, I think a single Richie at the end of the...
Ooh, what if that's the last scene? Where
Him
it's like,
knocking at the door.
and then opens up, and then credits.
Tears drop.
With a sign that says, "To me, you are perfect." Like Love Actually.
Or like all those signs. Or you could do like the pizza box with the sorry and Princess Diaries.
Yes.
I want that to happen to me. All right, we've been silly enough. Please tune in next week. We're going to have a special guest. Kelly, where can everybody find you on social media?
Y'all can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Kellie Knez.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Blake McIver.
Tweet at me at the Kylie Hodges and Instagram just at Kylie Hodges. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you next week. It's the finale. Oh my God!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Afterbuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the Afterbuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterbuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of Afterbuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of Afterbuzz TV or its owners or principals.